Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. Today I'm taking a look at a game called Forced Showdown. Now you might be thinking I already did a video on this. Well, yes and no. Yes, I did, but that was part of a live stream event, so you were only getting like 720p, and it was part of an event and I didn't have a lot of information, and I didn't have my final thoughts on it. Now, I've only maybe played the game somewhere between 12 to 16 hours. I forget what my Steam profile said. But I think I'm ready to kind of give my thoughts about this game and give you guys a little bit of footage, maybe with a different character from what you might have seen from that initial event. Okay, so this is, as I mentioned, this is Forced Showdown. This is, I don't know if I'd call it a sequel, but it is the second game in the Forced universe. So it's not, I always thought, when I first got this, right, I actually got a review key from Betadorf, and they invited me to that stream event, of course, and that got the price down. And I thought that the actual game was Forced Showdown. I'm like, okay, you're forced into the show. Okay, and then, no, when you load it up, you can see the Force, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember this game, Forced, which was kind of a cooperative arena-type game. You had up to 4 players, I believe, you could play together, and from what I understand, I haven't actually played it myself. It actually was pretty cheap, probably a day or two ago, and I probably should have at least tried it, but did not get the chance. And in that game, again, cooperative arenas, and I had heard some things about the game not really being balanced very well if you were playing solo. So this one is more of a single-player experience. I've yet to see any actual multiplayer, either co-op or competitive. But there are leaderboards and things like that, and this game is all about trying to get higher and higher scores and compared to yourself and, of course, the other people around you. It is, per the developers, a combination of Binding of Isaac and Hearthstone. And I'm going to be quite honest, a more apt description I don't think I could find. They also gave me the key because of my enjoyment of the Hand of Fate series. And I thought to myself, I don't really see that. You know, I don't really see the Hand of Fate. But I thought about it eventually, and I kind of got it. Hand of Fate, where you're kind of walking across cards and getting buffs to continue on into a boss, and then defeating that boss. It's kind of the same thing. But I really think the whole Binding of Isaac Hearthstone thing is really the most appropriate description you can get. So let's take a look at some things here. What I do like about this is there's some decent settings here. You can actually have different sliders for the volume, which is always nice. I actually think I need to turn these down compared to the voice. Visuals, presets from pretty funny names too. Actually, you've got Gloriously Heavy and you've got Ugly But Fast. Now my computer is getting just a little bit on in years. I've had it for a little while. I still think I'm on a 790 series. We're in the 900 generations right now, so I'm a couple generations back. So I was running into some slowdown getting into the Gloriously Heavy, so I just knocked it down to Beautiful. And I don't know if these are the presets for, I think they are, yeah, kind of all high. Is there anything that got turned down when I turn it down? Doesn't look like it, actually. Everything appears to be on. Oh, okay, there's ultra shadows and very high shadow resolution. So it knocked the shadows down, which makes sense, really. Shadows are typically one of the things that are going to give you problems. All right, go into input. What I like, you can do full rebindable keyboard and mouse controls, which is good because I have mouse keys or mouse buttons I like to use. More so than the controls they give you. You basically have walls to move, and R is one of your abilities, as is E. I don't really care for that because I find it hard to move and hit E and R at the same time. So I'm glad I could do some of the mouse buttons. I'm actually thinking of taking E off and putting that as another mouse button. But since I'm used to it, I'm not going to do it for this run. You can also completely rebind your controller, which is good. It's nice to see that. So not a lot of games do that. It does have Twitch integration, and that was part of the event that they were doing. The game was being offered at a discount. The more people that watched, the lower the price went, and I believe the price went down about $2.50. So instead of $20, which that was the other thing when I was doing the event, I didn't know. Well, prior to the event, when I was originally streaming, I didn't know what the price initially was going to be. at first. You know, I got the game, tried it out, I'm like, okay, this is cool, I'd like to do some video footage on it. Didn't know what the price was. Then the event came, finally figured it out. Okay, so $20, $250 off. I'm not sure how long that sale is going to last, so for now I think you can get it for $17.50. So that's not too bad. Now for the content, it's a pretty decent game, but I think it's going to be up to you to decide whether you're going to want to get it, because my recommendations are probably not going to be super high, and that's just because this kind of game is not really the kind I end up spending a lot of time on, because, again, it feels more like a Binding of Isaac type thing. So what is good, though, is that there are different versions of play. You have the campaign mode, you have the Crucible Frontline, and here the Grand Return, which I have not unlocked yet. Crucible is kind of the easy mode. Honestly, I'm going to be showing you some stuff from the Frontline, which I consider to be the normal mode, because there are mechanics that are not turned on during the Crucible that will be on in the Frontline. Grand Return, obviously I haven't unlocked it, so I really don't know what's there. I almost beat Frontline, but didn't quite. There are seasons, they call it seasons, these are kind of dailies. Now unfortunately, as you can kind of see, they're not really working right now. I did run into this a couple times during the pre-launch event, and I was kind of hoping it would be smoothed out when it finally released. Unfortunately, there are still some issues. But I can at least tell you what some of these are. So in this game, you've got 4 characters, and each of those characters has a deck which improves their moves, right? You have basic moves that you will always have with these 4 characters. And then the cards will buff the moves that they have or buff their stats in some way. Daily is where you can pick any of the characters you want and pick the deck you want to play as, and then you have a set of rules that you must abide to, and those rules can make the game either easier or harder. There's a sense of randomness here in this daily. However, there is an equality daily. In the equality daily, everything is the same. You go into the game with the same cards every time, the same rule set every time, and you must have the character and companion that the game picks for you. So in this mode, you are going to be compared equally to all other players that you're playing against. So this is kind of the most fair mode. Now what I have noticed that was kind of interesting is the cards that you're given. Normally you draw from a deck, and that deck is in a very specific order. What I noticed is if you draw certain cards and play certain cards in different orders, then the cards you draw are different. The thing is if you do the same sequence of events, you will always get the same results. So you can play around a bit with your hands. I really wish I could show this mode right now, but I'm just trying to get this out since I've been a bit behind. But I thought it was really neat because you could kind of play around with your hand a bit when you open up the game and mulligan and whatnot, and you could really come up with a working build that might be different from everyone else's because they didn't quite figure out those combinations of cards. So that's pretty cool. The one try daily is literally that, a one try. You get one attempt, and then you're done. And then everyone's compared. So it's basically a one shot. If you lose in the first arena, too bad, you don't get to try again. And of course there are rankings where you can see your best rankings and of course global, which is kind of cool. What I like about this is that kind of like in Binding of Isaac, as you plays the game, we'll move on. As you play, you kind of get unlocks for doing certain things, items that will be added to the basement. Kind of the same thing here. Rather than items, though, what you're given is default stats that carry along with you, and you unlock these in the form of quests. Like here, the very first thing you get is you get the next contestant, Volco, right? You start with one contestant, the Squire of Light. Here, not only do you get Volco, but you get a permanent plus 10 health for all characters and plus 5% crit chance. In order to get it, well, you just finish your first campaign. Basically, that is it. You finish your first campaign, you win or lose, you get a new contestant, and a few buffs to your character to make it a little bit stronger. And you can see a few other things happen here. We have, like, Brutus gets unlocked with some health, and I got some gold. Here, some more health, some more gold, another contestant, some block chance, and some shards. Now, shards, I'll talk about that when we get to the cards. And here we got the last contestant. So you will get, from the Crucible, if you do these achievements, all 4 contestants with a few nice base mods. And this one, for instance, is plus 25% base companion health, which is good because I'm going to be honest, I feel like the companions are very, very weak in this, but the arenas are very small and quick, so that may be the best balancing decision. I'm kind of on the fence on that because sometimes it feels like they can be very helpful, and then sometimes it feels like they're just dead so fast that they didn't do anything. My last few games, they've been good probably because I have more base companion stats. When I first started, they were practically useless. There are some problems I've been having with the game, such as achievements not noticing that I've done things, like anti-mage. Play a battle without playing any spells. These are, a battle I assume is a full set of arenas. So when you play, you have 8 arenas and then you're done. So it's kind of like how Hearthstone gives you mana each turn. You get more mana and you get 8 in total. And I've done this, and it didn't seem to register. So unfortunately, there have been some issues with this as far as registering things. There have been some bugs, but they are fixing it, so there is that. Keep in mind, a lot of my experiences were with the pre-launch event, so anything that's been fixed, this is like day 2 of the release, I think. I may not know what has been and hasn't been fixed, so I'm not going to dwell too much on the bugs that are out there. Alright, last thing here, let's take a look. This is the card system. So again, much like Hearthstone, here are the 4 characters: the Squire of Light, Volco, Stormbringer, and the Ravager. Alright, you have 2 ranged characters, 2 melee, and here you can see all their cards, and just like Hearthstone, they have a mana cost, and then something that they do. There are 4 different types of cards. There are consumables, which are items that you will, basically you play the card to get an item, and then you can play that item at any time during the arena. Some of them will have charges. That's what this little symbol here is for, the little 1 you see by the boost and 2 by the bomb drone. You play it and you get 2 of that consumable. And some of them have a replenishment. Like this, at the end of the arena, you will get 1 more charge of the bomb drone. Now with this replenishment, you cannot go over the maximum charges, which is these 2, as far as I'm aware. I believe you can only get 1. If you play more than 1, you can get up to 4, but I believe the replenishment is only 1. Also, if you use all of the charges, you won't get it back. You have to at least have 1 in order to get the charges back. Those are what I've noticed so far. And as you can see here, you can, much like, it feels a lot like Hearthstone's UI here. You can go to any mana cost you want, and you can go to any character. So you can go to neutral, you can go to Squire, Volco, any character you want, and go, of course, by type. So, which is good, very good. Even a search function, which is very useful. And you can name the decks. We can go in here and I'll just kind of show, like, going into my deck. There it is. Everything is listed here. Does it not feel very Hearthstone? It does. It really does. That's not really a problem. It's not Hearthstone. It's not a card game, but it has cards to help you. You have a deck of 30, and as you can see, the maximum cost of cards is 7. Alright, so that's kind of the cards. How do you get cards, right? So I mentioned gold before. We're going to go here to fortune. This is how you get cards. There appears to be no real money currency in this game, so that's great. You just unlock cards by getting in-game currency, by playing the game, and then that's how you build up your decks and stacks. So it's almost like a free-to-play game, but not, because you don't have to pay for anything, ever. And they do the Hearthstone thing where if you get duplicates of cards, you get shards. It automatically disenchants it. You don't have to do it manually. And then you can pick from either common, rare, or supreme, which is their legendary or epic versions of cards. You can even kind of see here a percentage of what there are in cards. I only have 12% of the supreme cards, so some of what you might hear regarding my criticisms of the game as I play, please keep that in mind. I haven't found a lot of the cards. But I'll go ahead and show you how to basically hit the spin, and you can see the different types of rewards you can get. The purples obviously being supreme, green being the regulars. There, I got a shield card. Now, you might see some of these, like there's 200 gold, so that would give me 2 free spins. Now, we'll draw 1 card and gain chance to crit, so there are some card draw cards. Now, I'm not... Oh, there we go. There's a 2 card. So if I were to land on there, I would get 2 of that type. Well, add 1 to each charge of consume. So I'll just go ahead and show a few more cards as we play here. I keep hoping to get a 2, but it's not coming up, and I'm not getting any Supremes either. There's a character for Stormbringer, where Force Barrier gets additional damage. It's going green. Darn. Alright, 25% damage while Speed of Light is active, and then 1 more spin, and yet another green. How unfortunate. Now, I can click again to kind of skip the spin, but you guys haven't seen it, so I'm just kind of letting it go. So this is the real deal. Destroy all summoned units. It recovers if 5 enemies are killed. So cool. That's it. I'm out. Can't do any more until I win some more gold out there. And it does show you when the cards are new. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play out. We're going to go here in front lines. Again, this is kind of the normal mode, and there are some additional mechanics that occur here. Now, this is Squire of Light, the character that you first get. Now, there are additional skins for some of these characters, and if you go to forcedshowdown.com/watch, I'm not sure if you can still sign up to get some of the skins that were given out for the event, but it's worth a try. Take a look. Maybe you can get it. I'll leave a link in the video description, of course. So those skins will show up on the bottom left, and skins for companions will show up on the bottom right. So this is Squire of Light. We'll go over some of his abilities. He has a basic attack, which is a light beam. He fires a beam forward. This is the character you basically would have seen if you watched the live stream video that I put out. So a basic attack, it's a beam of light. It's a channeled attack, so it attacks quickly, but doesn't hit very hard. And as he channels it, it gets stronger and stronger, but he moves slower and slower. So this is as I mentioned, a twin-stick type shooter, Binding of Isaac. You have to stop attacking sometimes to be able to dodge, because there's going to be things coming at you, and so that's where the balance in the game lies. Attack and defense, you have to balance them in order to survive. His second ability is Overcharge, where he does a big explosion, damages all enemies around him. Some of my favorite combos with this character are cards that not only duplicate this spell, like it not only casts it twice, but 3 times, and then of course increase the damage of it, so I really like that kind of build for him. Guardian Light, you become invulnerable for 2 seconds, and he has a passive where anytime he's attacked, his beam of light will hit twice as fast for 2 seconds. The next ranged character is Stormbringer. Stormbringer is a bow and arrow user. He is a much slower attacking character than the Squire of Light, but he does hit harder. You can charge up the bow attack to shoot farther, or you can try and attack fast, you just don't attack as far, as you can see here. His next ability is Chain Lightning. It fires an Empower Arrow, and it jumps to 6 additional targets. You do have to be very careful about this one, because you do need enemies to be nearby. There are some cards which can modify it to actually hit the same target multiple times, so you don't have to worry about it too much, and it can cause you to do a lot of single target damage. He has Force Barrier. It creates a barrier that knocks enemies back, and it lingers for a bit and does damage to anything that touches it. Lastly, he has a passive called Stormy. This is a storm cloud that follows him around, and whatever you hit last, it will fly over their head and will do damage over time. So he hits harder, but he's also got a dot, which is kind of nice. Alright, let's move on to the melee character, Volco. This is kind of the strong, heavy fighter. He does not swing fast, he can swing pretty hard. He can, much like Stormbringer, charge up his attack, and it hits harder, and it will also have a knockback on it, which can be very useful and almost essential if you're a melee character in this game. We'll talk about that a bit as we play. Volcanic Strike damages enemies in a line, and you can knock them back. There is a card that literally says this can go to infinity and beyond. If you're familiar with Heroes of the Storm, you might know what that means. If you get the first card, it goes all the way across the arena. If you get the second card, it goes across the arena and then repeats itself once, kind of like Sergeant Hammer's level 20 ability, which is kind of neat when you get it. Unfortunately, I have a hard time playing this guy. Flame Nado, you spin for about 2.5 seconds. Whirlwind Bob much? Maybe, yes. You deal damage, and you phase through enemies, so you can get through enemies if they're kind of got you in a corner, which is very nice. And his defensive ability is Magma Shield. It absorbs the next hit, knocks back enemies when triggered. It lasts for about 5 seconds, which is pretty much his only survivability, other than the fact that Volcanic Strike knocks back, which is probably why I have a hard time with it. I believe the character that I will be playing for you will be Ravager. This is another melee character, but he focuses on speed rather than strength. His Claw Strikes is his basic attack. It's a rapid slash, and every attack gains you 1 point of Frenzy when you hit something, up to a total of 5. That Frenzy is used in your abilities. So first you have Leap. It's an act you leap forward, pounce your foe, uses all the Frenzy, and it does extra damage for each point of Frenzy. Alternatively, you might Strafe, which is a dash forward. You avoid harm, slicing all enemies in your path. It spins all the Frenzy, and each Frenzy spent reduces the cooldown by 1. This is a 5-second cooldown ability, so if you have full points of Frenzy, I don't even know anymore. If you have full points, it basically is an instant refresh, which is kind of nice. Lastly, he has an Enrage. This is a long cooldown skill, about 22 seconds, I believe. 50% attack speed for 4 seconds, additional 50%. Movement penalty when attacking is removed, and the cooldown is reduced for every frenzy gained. So he's kind of cool. Now, in this game, unfortunately, I feel that melee has a very hard time. You're constantly having to dodge enemy bullets and things like that, and there are some enemies that have attacks that are can be sometimes hard to see coming when you're in a big group. And so I feel like the ranged characters have a distinct advantage about that. The hardest one I had was with Volco, because again, he really only has a couple things he can do for defense. The reason why Ravager is so nice, and you'll see it as I play, is that both his leap and his strafe give him kind of a temporary shield. pretty much invulnerability frames, if you will. But when you use them, you can get through enemy attacks and basically get through unharmed. So if you need to get out of harm's way, you can very quickly do so. So this character is all about the agility. So I haven't really found a good way of playing Volco. So basically, he is my least favorite character, but the other ones I'm okay with. I would like to see maybe some tweaks to Volco. I don't know what they would be, but... Beyond that, let's look at our companions. The first companion you start with is Xiaolong. He's a fragile little thing, but he fires an energy bolt, it does decent damage, and if he gets hurt, he will teleport away and then return to the fight. Then there is Brutus, a tough, simple-minded helper. He is a broad melee area strike with 15% lifesteal. Now, the last character I don't have because I haven't unlocked, obviously, but I have been able to play with him thanks to some of the dailies. His name is Denver, and he is a dinosaur. You may get that reference. If you do, you get a cookie. You're going to have to make that cookie yourself, though. Sorry, I can't send it to you. But yes, it is a dinosaur, and he has a charge attack, so he's actually quite useful, I've found, for help pushing enemies back. Alright, so let's play this guy, and we'll talk a bit about how he plays, how the game plays, and what some of my complaints are as we go. I'll go ahead and let, of course, the movie play so you can kind of see the announcement and how this is basically an intergalactic game show where you are made to fight. So I feel like these arenas are kind of a means to an end. I feel like these are kind of where you're going to maybe get some of your points at first, and then I think a lot of the game's replayability is going to be in the quests that you have to do, or not quests, but in the dailies. The dailies are going to be the interesting part, because that's where the leaderboards are mainly going to be, and that's where the interesting rule sets are going to be. So let's talk a little bit about the game here. Now that we're in it, you can see it as a top-down perspective. I can use the mouse to move my character around. Now what I do like about it is that this game has instant recognition for when you decide to switch to a joystick. So now I am using my joystick. The right stick changes my facing, the left stick changes my movement, and my right trigger attacks, my left trigger does my leap, my left bumper does my strafe, and my right bumper gives me my big buff ability, which is actually 30 seconds. I was wrong. Honestly, both control schemes work really well. Certain characters, I kind of like the controller a little bit better, and other characters I like the keyboard and mouse. Characters that are precise, like Stormbringer, I prefer the keyboard and mouse, because I feel I can get much more precision out of it. You don't get a lot of precision out of an analog stick, well, unless you've been playing with one for a long time, which I really haven't. I do play console games, I'm just more adept with a keyboard and mouse. And you can see here it tells you which buttons do which, so right click will be my leap, E is my dash, and of course you can see mouse 3. It doesn't play very well with unique mouse buttons because it kind of goes off the UI, but it is there. Alright, so we have our health. We can take a look at my stats. You can see I do have some of the base stats improved because of quests, such as a 5% block chance and a 5% crit chance. Boons are abilities you'll get with these points here. You'll see I have a bar that I can fill up with 20 points. You get those from fighting in the arena, and boons are permanent buffs. So again, thinking Isaac, you get a permanent buff for this run, which you will lose if you ever do another run. We can always look at the quests, and of course we can also the deck to know what I've got. Alright, so I'm just using his default deck. I've done pretty well with it. Now here are the 4 arenas I can fight. I fight 2 of these, and then I can go to the boss, which will be here. I beat the boss, and then I can move on to the next chamber. In the Crucible, there are only 2 chambers before you beat the final boss. In this, there are 3. So let's see what we got. We've got Battle Rules Copy Machine, Side Effect Spells, Supplies, Chaotic Illumination, and Fluctuation. And here we have Short Battle. So these are positive and negative effects that you can possibly get. Sometimes they're all positive, sometimes they're negatives. So I'll just kind of show off some of the more interesting one. Let's do Copy Machine. This one can. So here we are, Ravager and Brutus. We're fighting the Captain. So Copy Machine removes half of my deck and replaces it with cards from the other half. So I could end up, if I'm lucky, with 4 of some of my better cards. If I'm unlucky, I'm going to end up with a lot of cards that aren't going to help me at all. Alright, so all cards stack their normal effects, except the ones with add-on. So if you see add-on, those are the ones that have unique stacking effects, and usually only get one stacking effect. So something like Copy Machine, if I've got things with add-on, I only get the effect once. If I get 3 or 4 of the card, it's not going to help. Alright, so hey, look, very much Hearthstone-esque. Here are my 4 cards, and I get to mulligan if I so desire. This isn't too bad. I've got Killing Spree, which gives me basic attacks do more damage per frenzy, so that's a really good, just basic attack card. It rewards me for not spending my frenzy points. And we've got a Squire Puff that can increase my damage. So, mana boost cards, basically free mana, that's great. We'll go ahead and confirm this. I think we'll keep it. Alright, so here we go. We go into play, and I've got my hand. I can play whatever card I want. So we'll take a look at the bottom. You'll see there's my mana count. Every round it will go up by 1 to a total of 8. Alright, upper left-hand corner is how many arenas I have to fight. Now there are some arenas with rule sets, which mean you have fewer arenas to fight through, but in general you'll be fighting through 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right there, with 8 being the final boss. We can see the rule set over here of Copy Machine, and the upper right-hand corner is the character we're fighting against, the captain, and the ability that he will be unleashing upon us throughout the entire arena. This is Mine Shower, so mines will be dropped from the sky every 5 seconds. Something I'm going to have to be very wary of. Now you'll see at the top here he actually has a deck of cards. In the Crucible you don't get this. Now as we play, much like me, he's going to get cards that he can play with the mana he gets to kind of make my life hell. And some of those can be pretty brutal. Alright, so here we are. We only have 1 mana. We're going to play the Squire Puff. It gives me a Puff ally. If he survives, I'm going to get 15% damage play for this run. So let's go. So I'm kind of moving. You can kind of see the counter over my head. That's for my Fury. And there's my line for leap. We'll just go ahead and forward and hit that guy. Thankfully, my Squire's doing well. I'm going to activate my attack buff. And we're going to move around, do some damage here. And right now, this isn't too bad. I've had some good... I've had some experience with this guy lately that's been a bit better than when I first did the event. Oh, that was a complete whiff. Alright, what you'll see too is here you've got, this is actually a monster spawner. It'll spawn these monsters with yellow health bars as the arena progresses. Monsters with yellow health bars are summon units. They don't count for completing an arena. I must complete all of the monsters with a red health bar, as you see just there, in order to progress. Now there are some hazards like this thing here. It was a flame vent. It will shoot things up. Some of the hazards you'll see aren't terribly difficult this early on, but they are heavily hard and can get pretty hectic, especially during some of the daily events that I've played. Alright, so we've got slow paced, so my movement speed will be reduced, but it is removed temporarily when I hit something. So I have to deal with that and his mine showers, which can be bad. That means I might not be able to get past the mines as I move. Alright, so I can play both of these mana boosts to go ahead and get Killing Spree early, which I think I'm going to do because I don't know what the rest of my deck is like. And this leaves me a minor heal card that I can heal myself up in the future. So I'll click my character, we'll go. I'll point out there at the top of the screen is kind of a progress bar. And you can see as I kill enemies, it depletes. And so that's how you kind of know how far you've got. What you may have also noticed is that enemies do hit each other. So man, it's been a while since I played Isaac, and I haven't played the latest expansion. I don't remember enemies in that game being able to hurt each other. I think it was kind of... Oh, yeah, I just knocked right into that. Now what I'll do is I'll kind of dash here, and you'll kind of see... It might be kind of hard to see, actually, but... When I dash, there's like a shield over my health bar, which shows I'm not going to get hurt when I do that. So I have to be careful. Now the good news is, the abilities he plays, most of them are not permanent. So that last one, the slow, I don't have to deal with it anymore. However, mines are now crawling through my skin, and these wounds they will not heal. They will now be crawling mines, they will chase after me. So that, I'm going to have to make sure I have my dash up and when I need it. So at this point... I've got a card cost of 2 and a card cost of 5 with only 3 mana. Nothing I can do, so we're just going to basically skip this turn for a card play. Alright, very good. So this character is all about getting all up in your face. That attack buff is very nice to do and is usually very wise to kind of play often, just because its cooldown gets reduced as you get Fury stacks. So... Nope, I didn't move fast enough. So when you cast it and you start getting Fury, the cooldown will go down faster. Pretty much the gist of that. And you can see these arenas are not very long. I'm already on Arena 4. So these are very quick, and you just go through a few of these until you get to the boss. Alright, what do we got? We got Reanimate Shrine. So he'll call down a shrine that can reanimate minions that die close to it. So we'll have to be careful of that. I cannot use ability bolts. It's 5, so we'll get Ooh Shiny. Gives me a random upgrade card. It costs 2 less. Alright, Drop Kick of Persuasion. Interesting. So on kill, I get a 20% chance to resurrect the enemy as an ally. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Drop Kick of Persuasion, indeed. Alright, so there's a spawner. Let's just go ahead and activate the buff. Kill a couple things, and charge forward with the damage. And you can see that charge knocked him down, which is kind of the... That's kind of the mechanic that a lot of these characters have. I don't know what that is doing, and I don't want to find out. Okay, so yeah, now here's where melee characters kind of suffer a bit. There we go, dash forward. They go out of the arena and you really don't have anything you can do about that. So yeah, as we're going forward, I'll just kind of talk about the game. Let's see real fast what I get. Shiny, package deal, gain 1 mana every time I draw a card. Okay, cool, let's do it. So the game I've definitely had some fun with. There's been some interesting diversity between the monsters and the arenas. There are certain enemies that feel, I don't want to say cheap, but there are definitely some frustrating enemies, because, again, I talk about melee characters having a hard time of it. There are some characters where, really, the whole mechanic of your character to stay alive is to sometimes knock the enemy down, or to hit them. Like, there are the weaker enemies when you interrupted, right? Their animations are interrupted from your basic attacks, but not all creatures are interrupted, so, which is good, otherwise there wouldn't really be a challenge. You just keep slicing at them, and then they would eventually you would eventually kill them. So it's good to have that. But then you have some that not only have that, but didn't reach, and then some that have that can't be interrupted and have a ranged attack that you might not see coming immediately. Some of them also have invulnerability. So it can get pretty hectic, and again, why I kind of say that ranged characters are usually a bit better. Alright, here we go. Tempest, ability to cast a strong wind that pushes everyone around, and he increases the mine explosion radius. Ooh, that kind of sucks. Well, I definitely got quite a bit of mana for this turn. I have 7. So I can play these ability bolts, so whenever I do an ability, I deal 25 damage to a random enemy. And I have Paranoia, or Paranoid, which gives me a shield at the start of each arena, which I like. Unfortunately, not enough mana to play both, but I can play my heal. I'm thinking I'm going to hold off on that for now, though. There are things like these barrels here. I'll just kind of hit it to show it. If I hit that, it'll explode in green goo, and that will hurt me. So you have to kind of be careful about that when you're going through barrels. There are some Diablo-inspired elements here, like breaking barrels, but there are like treasure goblins at the start of some arenas, which is where you can get a whole bunch of points and also get a bunch of... you're immune at the end of this, by the way. You can always get a bunch of points, but also get a bunch of gold to spend towards buying cards. When an enemy is killed, all the others are healed. So all for one. That means I'll pretty much only be able to kill one at a time. Jeez, I have so much mana, but nothing to spend it on. Oh gosh, guys like that guy with the giant axe, you have to be careful because they will cleave you. I died like in one hit to that guy once. I think I had 75 health, or I don't remember the arena. I was not expecting that. Alright, here we go, boss characters. So each boss is unique, has their own mechanics, which is kind of cool. I don't know if I've seen all the bosses. The downside is I've only maybe seen about 4 or 5 different bosses so far. And I don't know if more get unlocked. Again, not having unlocked the last third of the game, I don't know what to tell you on that. So keep in mind, this is not really a full review. It's really kind of a first impressions. Alright, what do we have? Clone. Ability to clone an enemy, and it gives it 200% extra health. I can counter this. Okay, so it loses 50% health for each consumable card I play. Well, I don't have any consumable. Well, I do. I have bomb drone, so I can definitely play that. Nothing else I can really do, actually. This is the last round, and I've got 10 mana. So I'm going to make it... It's only going to be 150 extra health, which is fine. And then I'll heal up. So what I would like to see in this, and something I feel is maybe a bit missing, is when I think of a game like Binding of Isaac, I think of... I never got that far in Isaac. I'm just not very good at it. And conversely, I'm not very good at this either. But, I think of Isaac, and some of the things I think of are, like, really over-the-top bosses, over-the-top abilities that you can get. Like, I've seen some runs with people have these items I don't even know what they are. They're like just shooting giant beams of everything all over the screen. Oh wow, he's actually getting in the way of the camera. That's something I don't like. Oh shoot. Oh no. Dear. Okay. Alright, well, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that the game crashed while loading the next arena. And unfortunately, what that meant was, well, I thought I had lost everything. I thought I'd lost all the footage and would have to start all over again. The good news is, Bandicam managed to recover most of it. I believe it recovered up to the end of the last boss fight, so that's good. I missed a little bit of dialogue, but we can just kind of pick right back up. Kind of want to show off the achievement I got at the end of that. We saw we had straight. This is part of this one. All I need to get next is win a battle without playing more than 2 upgrades. So if I can play a deck or just not play any upgrades, I can get these several supreme boons, which would be kind of cool. I believe, what was it, that one? Oh, kill 100 enemies with your companion was another one I got. As part of this, also defeating Mordar in the front line. I can get Record Breaker. If I clear 5 arenas in less than 12 seconds, I've gotten 3, so I need 2 more. And then that will give me the last companion, Denver, the dinosaur. So that makes me happy. So one good thing about this that it's crashed is it kind of lets me show you what happens if you quit in the middle or if the game crashes on you. Do you lose all that progress? Well, thankfully, no. It will tell me that I'm already in the middle, waiting for login, huh? So we mentioned that last time where the seasons were kind of unavailable. So it looks like the daily quests are currently unavailable still, so that's unfortunate. But if I go to play, you can see here that it tells me I do have an active campaign in Frontline as Ravager, currently in the Chamber 1 with 33 points. And I can go ahead and concede or continue. So we're going to go ahead and try and get back into that. And now I have to kind of remember what I was talking about and get back on my train of thought as far as my critique of the game. Now again, I haven't gotten any farther than Frontline, which is the second of 3 arenas. And I don't have that many Supreme cards. So let me show you, let's go in, what do we have? Chaotic Illumination with Fluctuation, Short Battle, and... Oh yes, I was going to go into, I believe, Short Battle. And kind of show that off, because you can have a shorter arena. So we'll go into that now. That was it, to kind of show you that a rule set can completely affect the way things work. So here we have, it's short but intense. There's only 4 arenas instead of 8, and before the meeting boss, and mana gain is doubled. But there are enemies added because there are not as many arenas, so there's something to be watchful of. Okay, so I was talking, I believe, at the end of the last boss fight about talking about comparisons again with Binding of Isaac. Very specifically Binding of Isaac, and how this game kind of relates. Ooh, Deadly Impact. I like this one, and I have both of them. Excellent. I've got to show that one. This one's pretty cool. It's you deal 15 damage and knock back enemies near the target. It's pretty nice AoE. Maybe if I only play those 2 upgrade cards, I'll be okay. I think, honestly, those are 2 of my favorite upgrade cards. I'm going to try and do this arena without, maybe get the upgrade bonus. We can see I have more mana for this. So rather than getting Killing Spree, I'm just going to get both Deadly Impacts, I think. And I'll show it off. So, yeah, part of my critique, part of my criticism about this is, well, I really like some of the ideas they have here. Is that I would like to see some more really extreme cards, some more varied cards, varied enemies. Now it could be I just haven't gotten that far. That is entirely possible. I don't know for sure. But, I mean, because I know in Binding of Isaac, you don't really get a lot of the really crazy stuff until you've gone through the game quite a few times. But I just don't see a lot of potential in some of these cards.
Play card.
Leap deals 15 damage, knockback to enemies near the target. I don't know if it's that one I was thinking of, actually. Anyway, you know, I've seen some of the higher end, like 7-cost cards, and I mean, one of them is simply a damage boost. And there are some kind of neat abilities, like the ability to have Volco put his kind of crag ability, where it like fires off in a line, have it go across the screen and back again. So okay, yeah, that's kind of cool, and those are some pretty neat mods. But what I'd like to see something like really neat. You know, what kind of really cool abilities could you possibly give these characters? What kind of super abilities, maybe? You know, like what really cool cards could you come up with? I don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately, but I was kind of hoping to maybe see a bit more variance. All right, I've already played all my upgrades, so we're just going to play these. All right. So yeah, that's what I would like to see, really. Just some things that could really adjust the play style. But again, I just don't have a lot of cards. It's entirely possible I've missed out on it. So again, think of this as this really is a first impressions. It is not entirely, you know, having not gone through the whole thing, haven't unlocked all the cards. There is no way that I could legitimately know well enough how this game will play when you get to the end. So that is my concern, that the replayability on this may start to peter out. But I will tell you that the time I've had with it has been rather fun. It's just that I'm not very good at these arena games, and by that, I'm probably just not going to play this too much more than I have. Although I might stream it on occasion. There is that. Oh dear, tons of magma coming in, so I gotta be careful of that. So this is Ratbo, as you may have guessed, is a joke on Rambo, who is fairly tough. Got a machine gun there, and of course he's got minions that are starting to tear me a new one. And because I stopped in the middle of the arena, and this is actually like a day later, a day or two later, finding out that the footage was recovered. I actually thought the footage was not. So I am now not in the middle of the run. I'm actually rusty. Oh, he's about to fire again. Gotta move. So what you're seeing here is me kind of getting my butt kicked because I haven't had time to warm up for this. Oh dear. Alright. Oh, wow. So, yeah, there I go. Dead. I was hoping to maybe get towards the end to kind of show you guys a bit more, but yeah, getting taken out of it and then just losing the arena, or, you know, losing my concentration on it kind of sucks, so... Didn't even get to the first boss, which is very, very unfortunate. So... with that, I kind of wish there was a season to show you, because I would show you a bit more. Maybe I will show you, since I did this on the first video, I showed a little bit of the Squire of Light. Maybe I can kind of show you guys Volco a bit, and give you kind of an idea of what problems I think I have with Volco. I don't think it'll take me too long to die with him. So we're going to go to cards, and we're going to go to Volco's deck. And I'm going to try and see if I can find some cards that I haven't added yet. It doesn't look like I do. Alright, so we'll just go ahead and play with this deck, which does have a level 8 card, which is called Fiery Conjurer, and that's a 30% chance on kill to gain a Fading Fireball, which a Fading item is an item that you get that you lose at the end of that current arena. And of course you can see where it has a channeling cost. Every time I play a card of plus 3 mana, the cost of this card will go down. So it's an 8 cost, but it could very possibly be less. Alright, so we'll try one more. We'll go back into the front line, and we'll go with Volco, and I'll go ahead and put on the, you know, the lizard as my, or the Xiaolong, so you can kind of see him a bit. Alright, so here is Volco. He has a charge-up attack where you can hold the attack and then let go, and then he has a big swing. This is his attack speed, not very fast. The charge-up will perform a knockback. There's a line attack that can go all the way across the floor. I think I screwed myself over in that last arena, really, is what happened, was because I was trying to get an achievement, and I just completely failed it. So we have Necromancer, Quick Minions, we have Soul Break and Level Up, and we have Mana Banks and Chaotic Illumination. Mana Banks, I believe, is where you get mana, 3 mana every round, and it doesn't reset. So you can get 6 mana by turn 2 if you don't spend it. I want to try this. I haven't seen either Soul Break or Level Up, so we'll try out some new arena rules that I've never done before. Alright, so Soul Break, damage received reduces max health. Oh, that's bad. 50% damage reduction, though, so that's good. Level Up, start with 2 random class-specific upgrades. Enemies are both added and reduced, so this should be neutral. It's a fairly neutral run. I just have to be careful to not take damage, which, with Volco, I'm going to be honest, might be nigh impossible for me. Alright, so let's get rid of the cleaver. It's a level like a 7. It's kind of nice to keep that so that I can have it later, but I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it and hope to get something better. Aftershocks. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get rid of all these. They're all high cost. I'll keep the fairy bottle, though, because that can be useful even by turn 4.
Play cards.
Alright, not starting off with anything great, so we're just going to keep going.
Showtime!
So Volco, as you can see, is as you're charging up, he's not very quick. It's a lot like Squire of Light if he's attacking, or, well, any of the characters, really, when they're attacking. It's, you have to be moving slowly to do it. So activate my shield. So you've got characters like these things that can charge you. And if you don't have a way of knocking them down, you can suffer, really. And that's what I find with Volco, is he's really only got 2 ways of not... Well, he does have 3, actually. His shield will knock down, but it's got a... it's only got 1 hit on it. It's got a decent cooldown, 10 seconds. Everything's like 10 and 9 seconds, actually. So you've got to really save your abilities, I think, or the way he feels is you kind of... It feels like you sometimes have to really avoid using certain abilities until you think you're about to get hit like that. So like those things that will self-destruct. This guy being a melee, I have to get in close to hit those guys that will self-destruct. So what I have to do is either have my line ability, my, what's it called? I either have to have my Volcanic Strike, or I have to have my shield ready, because using the charge up isn't going to help, and he's going to blow up in my face. And that's going to be nasty. No one likes that. Alright, Magma Storms will be on the arena. And we're going to go for our third, so we can get Infused Blocking. Now this is a kicker card. Kicker cards will take mana, all of your mana, and take the excess that you spent. Like in this, I have to spend 3. That will leave me with 0, so I won't get any kicker bonus. But if I had 8, that would leave me with 5 extra mana, and for every extra mana, I would get 3% chance to block for the mana I spend. So since I don't want to use the kicker now, we're going to go ahead and get Great Balls of Fire. That will give my Whirlwind ability a Flinging Fireball. So we'll just go ahead and use it now, so you can kind of see it. There's my Whirlwind, and there's some Fireballs. So Volco, probably my least favorite. Yow. I'm not good with him. I'm not good with him, and that's probably the most of it, but I honestly feel like maybe there's more they could give him, or maybe I just need to build him blocky. I mean, that could be the other thing. Not having enough cards and not really knowing the, how do I want to say? Like, I guess the meta of it? I mean, when you think about it, like card games like Heroes of the Storm and all that, they all end up getting some kind of meta that's usually accepted. And this game probably has that. Uh-oh. Shield. I lost my shield, and I had to hit the... See, I'm losing maximum health here, too, so this is bad. But you kind of saw that where I used my shield, the shield got popped early, and then I had to take the damage from the guy that self-destructed. Probably wouldn't have had to if I were better. I understand this, but oh well. Alright, so we're going to get Comeback Kid. 35% chance to block when below 30% health. So, blocking is a mechanic where you can nullify all damage. But of course, it's going to have a percentage, and I believe it caps out at like 85. So there are caps for things like that in this game. Alright, we're going to move forward. We're going to try and take out these... Oh, really?
Arena completed.
Okay. I'm down to 70 health. This is bad. Now, I'm pretty sure the health I lose will come back after I'm done with the boss. Usually, all of these mods only affect the arenas that you're currently in. We can see that Fiery Conqueror has gone down to 6 mana because of the other cards that I have purchased. I am tempted to get the Fairy Bottle in order to get some healing. I can, of course, use the Minor Heal. Neither one of them actually will help me in this situation because my maximum health has just been reduced like crazy. So I need to play a 3+ card in general in order to gain, to make that go down. So I think we'll... Major and minor healing. I could get the infused block and get 3 stacks. So it's 9. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll do the infused blocking now and use our kicker. And then we can kind of take a look at our stats. We can see I have a 26% chance to block. And yep, it does cap at 85, as I mentioned. Whirlwind through these guys. So the Whirlwind quite useful for getting through enemies since they can block you normally. Oh jeez, I'm down to 40 health now. I feel like the boss is going to absolutely wreck me with 40 health. I knew I was not going to last very long with Volco. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Oh, I was not expecting to lose maximum health. Alright, so a chance to gain a Fading Fireball on kills. What is this? Each hit has a 25% chance of doing area damage. That doesn't seem as useful on Volco because all of his abilities kind of have a cleaving effect naturally. Alright, let's go ahead and get the smash. I can't even heal at all because instead of taking regular damage, I'm taking maximum health damage and that's it. So the Fairy Bottle won't do me much good other than it does damage over time. So let's just go ahead and get Fiery Conqueror. Alright, so I've got my Fading Fireball, and I can go, then we hurl Fireball towards the closest enemy. So this one I can actually control. Oh, that was not the closest enemy. No way. Points, thank you. Fireball! That actually was quite helpful. Prevented me from taking damage. I think it would be kind of neat if you could get new skills in general, not just by consumables, but like maybe a card that would trade out one of your skills or give you an additional skill. But then, of course, you'd have to have the key binding set up for that in advance.
Play cards.
Alright, minions gain health. Oh, really? All starting minions gain 10 health, and all starting minions gain 30 health, so they all have 40 additional health. That's fine. I'll deal with that. Alright, so we can go to infinity and beyond now. And I guess we'll just go ahead and get Unstable Hammer, because really there's nothing else I can do about this. So I'll just go ahead and show this off. I think this is kind of cool. So it's going to go to the end of the stage, and then as you can see, come all the way around and travel once more. And that's where it stops. It stops at 2. So it's not infinite, nor does it need to be. And that's one of the cooler cards. I do like that, just because I can fire it, it'll go off, and now it's going to hit him again. Do not like these things at all. Alright. I'm down to 40 health. 35 health.
Did you miss Frank?
Yes, I missed Frank. Come back here. Come here, Frank. Damn it. I took damage from these things. Down to 22. Jeez. Alright, come on. This is getting out of hand. I'm down to 17 health. Alright. I've got fireballs. Maybe I should use them. Really? What the hell was that? And of course my fireballs from that are not firing. Come on. Whirlwind. Oh god, it's 2 health? Really? Yeah, I'm done with Volco. I'm so done. I can feel it. Well, maybe. There's a chance. Oh, I finally got my anti-mage without win a battle without casting any spells. So it's nice to see that that was fixed. So yeah, some of the bugs I was talking about did get fixed, and that's always a good thing to see. I somehow won the arena. Oh, dear me. I wasn't expecting to last this long with Volco at all. So I guess I'll continue on, and we'll talk a bit more about the mechanics as I go along, what my character can do, what my cards do. My deck's not very cohesive. My Squire of Light, I think, is my most cohesive one because I've got it set up to where I have expensive cards, but I pay for those cards by playing mana puffs and things like that, so I have a bunch of mana coming in and possibly can get like a cost 7 card on like turn 4. So I can get a Rabid Pet, which is companion damage, life insurance, increased drop rates of health globes, that's not bad, attack speed, and damage. I like attack speed, but this guy attacks slow naturally, so we're just going to make him hit harder. Quick minions. You know, let's say, oh, I'm afraid of Necromancer. I have a feeling they'll be reviving enemies. We'll find out, shall we? On kill, resurrect an enemy as an ally. You take 100% extra damage. So double damage, more enemies, but okay. I get allies. Alright, we shall continue and try. Fiery Conqueror, going to keep that in my hand so that it will continually channel Volcanic Reach, and we'll start with the Rock, I think. 3% chance for each spell card you cast. I like that. And Sword and Board is chance to crit and chance to block. I like this hand, actually. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the Rock. So as we play spell cards, we'll get more block. Oh, look at that. All sorts of minions happening. So taking double damage certainly does suck, but you can kind of see that it's not really that big of a deal when you've got allies helping you. So as long as you avoid taking that initial damage, you can get a whole bunch of minions helping you out, fighting for you. Alright, so he's going to summon a unique monster, Gax. The World Bomb. I got to worry about that because he will drop a whole bunch of bombs in the area. Like there he is right there. If I kill him, you'll see he just dropped a whole bunch of those bombs. And then those bombs drop more bombs, and the explosions beget explosions, and there is a mine on top of there. There we go. Okay, we're good. Alright, need more minions. Needs must get minions. Okay, so now I'm kind of getting stuck here where I don't want to... Oh! Yep. Kind of saw that one coming. So this like little guy here, this laser you can see will target you and will throw things at you. So that is a stage hazard. So yeah, plenty of stage hazards, most of them played by the bosses of course, as we've seen. And those can really be the things that screw up your runs. As you may have seen with that last boss, I mean, that was the biggest problem I was having, was through the stuff he was dropping down and throwing lasers. So I certainly think this game has a decent variety of hazards so far and traps from what I've played. Decent variety of some of these enemies. You can see, I mean, we've had ranged enemies, we have melee enemies. They appear to be, the enemies that you fight, of course, appear to be based on the theme of the arena you're in, and I'm just taking a whole bunch of damage. Unnecessary damage. That double damage is really hurting me. I'm going to need a heal card.
Beware the skies.
Arena completed.
The one downside to the Whirlwind is it doesn't appear to really have the animation canceling effect that some of his other attacks have. So I have to be careful when I use it. Okay, chance to crit and block. Just add that. And when I do use it, I have to keep on the move, because it's very likely that I could be hit by something, be it a ranged attack, or be it something nearby, kind of like that, where I just die. Volco, not my best character. I think that's a good sampling, though. Again, I apologize for maybe the disjointedness that you've gotten from the first half and the last half. losing that momentum really sucks in a game like this. Like, when you've got a momentum going, it usually helps to keep it. So that's unfortunate. I'll put these two parts together. Before we go, let's just kind of take a look at what we got. We got the anti-mage. We got ourselves some health. So what I'll have to do is obviously win battle without playing more than 2 upgrades. That'll get me some boons. And if I can do the... which one was it? For Denver. Where's Denver? I was looking at it earlier and we were talking about it. There he is. Yeah, 5 arenas in less than 12 seconds each. So thankfully that's cumulative. I don't have to worry about that. So before we go, let's go ahead and go to the fortune, because I believe we have a few card draws. We do. So let's go ahead and draw some cards so you guys kind of take a look at that before I go. So Illusions, Michael. Draw 2 cards and you have no card. If you have no cards in hand, otherwise draw 1. Well, that's kind of neat. So you play that. If it's the only card you have, then you get 2 cards. If it is not the only card you have, then you get a card draw of 1. For 1 mana, I don't think that's too terrible. Alright, this is Chaotic Illumination. You may have seen this on some of the rules for the arenas. And this says kill all non-boss enemies below 50% health. You recover when all non-boss enemies have been killed. Frenzy. 12% chance to crit. If health is less than 50%, draw 1 card. So that's kind of nice. That is an upgrade. Now what I don't know about that is if your health is below 50%, do you draw a card each time? So every turn, every arena that I'm below 50%, I do believe that gives you additional card draw. So that's pretty cool. And just a flat 12% chance to crit isn't bad either.
Supreme.
Oh, did I just get a double Supreme? Indeed. So we have Dynamic Entry Rush, 65% damage. And Rush cards are cards where you get 15 seconds worth of a boon in the arena. So the arena starts, 15 seconds you have this, and then you lose it. I, unfortunately, not really a big fan of Rush cards, although under certain arenas that can be very useful because you can clear the arena quickly and you don't have to worry about it. So if you can kill it fast, then the Rush cards can be very useful. Alright, the next card is Pain or Gain. Randomly heal yourself or damage enemies around you for 100. So those are 2 of the Supreme cards, and you can kind of see not entirely unusual. Like, there's no really major mechanics there. I mean, one of them was a random one. Like, you're either going to do damage or you're going to heal. And that can be kind of off-putting. The mana cost for it was not bad. Alright, we have Fire Trail. This one is for Volco. Create a burning trail while Magma Shield is active. If you get an add-on, which means you play this card a second time, the trail will last longer. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Firewalk. Still not my favorite character. Oh, and we got 2 free spins. So let's go ahead and take those now. We get, there's Mind Bin, draw 2 cards. So we saw the other one, which was 1 card draw for 1 mana, which is okay. I mean, it's kind of a wash, but it's meant for when you have no other cards. And this one is just 2 cards for 2. We have Real Deal, destroy all summoned units, and it recovers if 5 or more are killed. Alright, one last spin. 2 more. Oh, anti-barrel boots, destroy barrels. On impact, if you get the add-on, they do damage. And then here we have High Roller Swagger. Draw a card and heal 15 times its mana cost. Not bad. So now I actually have enough gems to use the Forge. Now, I don't really care about the common cards. I already have more than half the common cards. But since I haven't done it, and it's probably something you guys would like to see on how it works, I'm pretty sure it'll just pull a random card. But let's go ahead and use it. So for the sake of completeness for this video. So we'll click it. It uses up my shards. Boom. Flash of Anger. Alright, reaction. 50% chance to gain 30% damage for 5 seconds. And reaction cards are basically cards that activate when you get hit. So there you go. That is how the Forge works. It's nice to know that they've added that. Honestly, for a game where you're paying the base cost and you're not doing any kind of free-to-play stuff, I mean, even Hearthstone has it, which is free-to-play. But having something like this that makes it easier to get the cards you want, I rather like. And I could have saved up to 500 shards. But honestly, this early on, maybe completing my common and rare pool would be the more important parts. And then eventually it's going to get to the point where common cards are just going to give me shards all day long. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, this is Forced Showdown. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I really wish the seasons were up so I could kind of show you those. There have been some pretty unique rules in there. That they can go all kinds of crazy, including the season where everything is the same, and they can carefully craft that, handcraft those arenas and experiences for some really interesting gameplay. So I like where they've gone. I like the potential the game has. But overall, again, not seeing a lot of the flashiness I was kind of expecting for like some of these really high-end cards. But maybe it doesn't need to have that. Maybe it's just not for me. Hopefully, though, you do like what you've seen, and if you do, you can get this game on Steam for $17.59 until about April 5th, and then it's going to go back up to $19.99. So it's going to be about $20, but it is on sale now thanks to that Twitch event. And again, you can try and register on forcedshowdown.com/watch if that's still up. That was where you could register for the additional skins, which I don't believe I have received yet, so I don't think they're out just yet. But thank you again for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time.